Theme days were created to give students at the Year 9 level a chance to experience being a politician, because the people that created it thought that was the best way that we could do to teach.
We now interrupt the regular programming to bring you a live satellite feed of the 24-hour news channel, CNN.
Our top story, the proceedings of the parliamentary elections. After the break, we'll cross live with our electoral officer, Ms. Diane McDonald.
And we get the attitude of the Americans to the Australian elections.
CNN, Zero Tolerance News.
I was working for technical support for CNN for many years until one day my boss asked me, "How do you spell XP?" After giving him a short and easy answer, he promoted my job to chief commentator, and that's why I'm with CNN.
On CNN for Kids, it's
At 9 AM weekdays, it's every child's favourite show, Badgers! Followed at 9:30 with It's a Fun-Filled Morning on CNN for Kids. At 9 AM Badgers, followed by Tinkletown.
shaping the minds of tomorrow today.
Ms. McDonald, welcome to CNN. We just have a few questions to ask you about the current elections. Do you feel Australia should become a nuclear power?
I think this is a really interesting question that many students have been debating, many parties have been debating over the last 3 days.
How do you feel about Tony Abbott's treatment in the Liberal Party?
As the electoral officer for St Michael's, I actually can't comment on his treatment of the Liberal Party.
What about a first strike capability against North Korea?
Again, that is an interesting part of many parties' defence policies that I can't specifically comment on.
Simon Crean's ratings were down when he resigned from the Labor Party and new leaders are now in place. Do you think the Labor Party can recover?
The Labor Party is one of Australia's strong political parties. They will probably recover.
Ms McDonald, thank you for your time.
CNN, it's a brave news world.
Our first question to Ms McDonald was about whether we should become a nuclear power. But what would happen if Australia became a nuclear power?
Now, that's a good question. I went out and found out from the President of the Independents, Miss Anthony. Okay. Miss Anthony.
Hello, Chris, how are you? Nice meeting you.
Do you think Australia should become a nuclear power?
That's a very interesting question, because with it comes numerous issues about what nuclear power can brew and so on and so forth. But I do think that if Australia is going to become a superpower, which I think is where we're heading at the moment, I think we might have to consider nuclear power as being an option. And I think we may well have to become a nuclear power.
It's a good thing to see that the independents want Australia to become a nuclear power. Unlike those other pig-colored bastards. And don't forget about communism tonight. Me with a Russian accent. CNN. Yeah.
CNN, hard news made easy.
Welcome to Communism Tonight. Tonight we'll talk about the economy and how it sucks. We also talk about how vodka prices have tripled over the past quarter and how this will affect our crappy economy. And then we talk about the war and how we are consolidating our power to once again emerge victorious.
Join Julie and Morrow for Communism Tonight. Tonight, 11 PM on CNN.
Cheers, comrades! What, you think this is water I'm drinking? What?
I was originally employed at this network as a reporter and was sent to the Afghanistan crisis. I was wounded by enemy fire and the suits here at this network thought that I would sue them. So instead they stuck me behind the news desk with a very high salary. That's why I'm CNN.
Hearing about the elections in Australia, I went on the streets of America to see what they thought.
Well, it seems we're having a few technical difficulties over there in Washington.
In the meantime, let's have a look at the platform speeches of each party.
CNN, The news you choose.
Now let's have a look at the Democrats. The Democrats mainly talked about communism in a way. They were talking about equal, equality, everything. Mainly communism.
But what about their sheep?
Oh yes, the sheep. Yes, they talked about sheep leaving Australia. Easy, we just invade New Zealand.
Exactly. I mean, who cares? I mean, they don't even have an air force anymore.
I know. They've only got one aircraft in their air force and like one ship in their navy.
They make a bad name for the Commonwealth.
Also, logging. They also mentioned logging in Tasmania. Who cares about Tasmania?
Exactly. Hey, minuscule.
Let's have a look at it.
Here are the Democrats. We believe in equality for all people of Australia, and everywhere for that matter. We believe in a country in which everyone has equal and just rights. People aren't singled out, discriminated against. Everyone is equal as one people.
Animal cruelty is also a big issue. Recently, 57,000 sheep left Australia for Saudi Arabia. They left 5 weeks ago, and now there's less than 53,500 left. That's like a lot of sheep who have died. The Liberal government is logging old growth forests. This isn't art. These trees are ancient and vital parts of our history, as well as the fact that they clean the air. We plan to change this and make sure that all logging is plantation logging.
Now let's take a look at the Greens again. Now, is it just me, or are they starting to talk about communism again?
Yes, it was a bit more like communism. It's a lot like the Democrats, as we have written down here. And then we've also got the international policy. Compared to the other parties, they're mainly, worried about the environment. What about defence?
And a 4-day week. I mean, come on.
That's got to end up in the economy going down. Let's have a look at this speech.
We wish to wipe out discrimination because all people are equal and deserve to be respected and live in a secure and diverse society.
We recognise the importance of achieving full employment across, as well as addressing issues like discrimination and inequality across the workplace. The Greens believe in a shorter working week with a 4-day week based around 7 to 8 hour days in order to create more time for leisure, rest and work.
The Greens are so hypocritical.
That's right, Julian. And don't forget, my new book is available for $39.95. Politics, Elections and Me. Available at all good book retailers.
CNN, a network of heroes.
As the dark clouds of pacifism roll over at the Greens' popularity, we have joined a very great cause.
That's why we here at CNN have introduced War Awareness Badges.
You can buy these badges for $2 at any news agency, supermarket or from the CNN website.
Get yours now.
Just before the voting booths open, I had an exclusive interview with the Governor-General, Mr. Gibson. Mr. Gibson, welcome to CNN.
Thank you very much indeed.
Well, just a few questions on the elections here in Australia. Would you be worried if North Korea had missiles aimed at us?
Well, that's a rhetorical question, I think. Of course you'd be worried if you felt that you were under threat. But I'm not sure that that's the case.
Would you be worried if a party who, most likely the Greens, who would sort of take a bit of money away from defence and we would be in that situation, would you consider electing for another government?
There's a lot of hypotheticals there, isn't there? Number one, that the Greens will take money away from defence. Number two, that North Korea will have weapons of mass destruction aimed at Australia. And number three, that the reduction in defence spending is directly going to increase the risk of us being attacked by North Korea.
Do you support a bail application by Pauline Hanson?
I think that Pauline Hanson is following appropriate judicial process, and she's entitled to that.
Would you ever have voted for her?
I don't think I would have actually, given the fact that a certain number of her policies are in fact divisive and exclusive.
Okay.
Excuse me, that's just my pacemaker.
That's okay. And for being on CNN, we present you with this War Awareness Badge to raise funds to prevent the Greens from ever winning. So thank you very much for being on CNN.
Thank you very much indeed.
It's good to see that Mr. Gibson will not vote for the Greens.
It's good to see he's still up and about with his heart condition.
Now it's time for news in under a minute.
CNN, making the truth even easier to swallow.
Ronald McDonald is in a hospital suffering from malnutrition after a diet of McDonald's new salads.
Clubber inadvertently spiked his own drink and molested himself.
Taxi strike. Meeting postponed until tomorrow as the drivers could not find the Melbourne Town Hall.
First casualty of safe cramming room. Inexperienced teenager inadvertently paints his own nose.
Glue sniffer. Gets nose stuck in clay bottle.
In world news, Megawati loses power in Indonesia.
The United Nations Day in World News passed the Invasion of Iran bill after the ambassador for the UN was out favouring Muslim prayers.
Qantas Chief Executive Officer Jeff Dixon states that the new domestic airline will really take off.
And in sport, Essendon supporters are only Collingwood supporters who can read and write.
AFL star declares all his income to the Australian Tax Office.
Tonight on A Chaser Affair, Shonky Jewish lawyers. First they take our money and legal fees, now Saturdays off. That's tonight on A Chaser Affair.
CNN, we report, you believe.
And news just to hand. The sales of my book have just dramatically increased.
And in the lighter side of news, the results of the election.
And the winner is...
That concludes our live satellite feed of the 24-hour news channel CNN. We now return viewers to their regular programming.
I think students enjoy it. I think they learn a lot from it. Much more than they would if simply learning to name parts of the class.